Hello, and welcome back to Wine Reform. Alright, today I'm pretty excited because we're going to go back to France and we're going to delve into a classic French wine region, Beaujolais. But before we do that, if you're here, you should take a moment to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon because I release wine-related content every Friday and there's a lot of cool wine knowledge to gain here. All set? Perfect. Back to Beaujolais. So Beaujolais is a wine region in France just south of Burgundy and north of the Rhone. There they mostly grow Gamay and a little bit of Pinot Noir. But if you come across a Beaujolais Blanc, then that's probably a blend of Chardonnay and Aligoté. Interestingly, sometimes the whites are blended into the reds and can make up about 15% of that wine. Disclaimer, I am American, English is my first language, French is not any of my languages. I never bothered to learn French, now I wish I did. However, here we are. So if my pronunciation is a little off, please forgive that slight error and I'll definitely drop the word on the screen for you. Okay, Beaujolais has three major levels in their hierarchy of wine. There's the Beaujolais Appellation de Régnié Contrôlée, Beaujolais-Villages Appellation de Régnié Contrôlée, and Beaujolais Crus Appellation de Régnié Contrôlée. And the most prominent Beaujolais Cru is Fleurie. So the Beaujolais AOC is the entire region of Beaujolais. However, the wines labeled Beaujolais AOC tend to be from the southern, more fertile land where the yields are very high. The Beaujolais-Villages AOC are the 38 villages that are in the northern part of this region, and they have been awarded the title Beaujolais-Villages. The soil there is stonier and less fertile than the soil in the south. Here the soil is granite, clay, and limestone, so this really helps control the yield, which leads to the grapes being more flavorful. In Beaujolais, the crus are 10 villages within the Beaujolais-Villages that have been awarded the title Beaujolais Crus. The 10 Beaujolais Crus are Brouilly, Chénas, Chiroubles, Côte de Brouilly, Fleurie, Juliénas, Morgon, Moulin-à-Vent, Régnié, and Amour. So today we're going to be trying a Beaujolais-Village made from 100% Gamay. So let's talk about Gamay and how it's made into wine in Beaujolais. Gamay is a very thin-skinned black grape that is similar to Pinot Noir in that it displays a lot of fresh red fruit characteristics. However, this grape tends to grow in higher yields and is ready to harvest earlier in the season. Hilariously, when Gamay arrived as Gamys to Burgundy in the 14th century, it was really poo-pooed by the ruling dukes of the region. In fact, the Duke of Burgundy tried to have it outlawed in 1395, since it wasn't doing as well as their regional darling, Pinot Noir, in his competition against his nephew, the King of France, in whose wines were best, Burgundy or Paris. However, Gamay was an early ripening, low-work, high-yield grape, so those farmers loved it. They really thought that focusing less on this petty competition between the Duke and the King allowed them time and resources to keep their people from starving, or to protect themselves from marauders, or to protect themselves from the plague. Of course, the Duke had to have his way. So poverty flourished as the Duke was insistent in the eradication of Gamay. The Gamay winemakers took their grapes with them to what was then a French backwater, Beaujolais, and discovered that that region was perfect for their beloved varietal. And the rest is history. Beaujolais Gamays are generally light and fruity as they're made in inert vessels and they don't mature in oak. Winemakers in this region sometimes use a method called carbonic maceration to maximize color extraction but minimize tannin extraction. This can bring out a lot of interesting flavors like banana and candy. Carbonic maceration is a method in which grapes are sealed into a container without being crushed first. Then the vessel is filled with carbon dioxide to create an anaerobic environment. Fermentation takes place within the whole berries, and then before the berries die off from the lack of oxygen, the vessel is then opened up to allow oxygen back in, and then the berries are crushed to release the juice. From then, the fermentation is completed in another vessel with just that juice. Not everyone in Beaujolais uses the carbonic maceration. Some use a semi-carbonic maceration, some don't use it at all. But you will be hard-pressed to find a Gamay from Beaujolais that isn't fresh and fruity. Okay, that is a whirlwind of information. And if you want to clarify anything, just so that you can understand it a little bit better if you choose to go get a Gamay from this region, then be sure to check out my resources in the description. I have linked all of them because it's really interesting. Information aside, let's get to the fun part. Let's actually try this wine. Today we are trying Louis Jadot's 2018 Beaujolais-Villages. Hey, post Alessandra here. I almost forgot to mention that I spent $11.99 before tax on this wine, and I bought it on wine.com. Not sponsored. Louis Jadot likes to call themselves America's #1 French winery. Given how easy it is for me to find a Louis Jadot wine here in the States, I'd say it's pretty accurate. So Maison Louis Jadot has 528 acres of vineyard. That's a lot. Most of those are in the Côte de Brouilly in Burgundy. But they make a lot of classic reds and whites from the Burgundy region and the surrounding area. Hence, we have a Louis Jadot Beaujolais-Villages. And I will say, they really are leaning into the American perception of Frenchness with their branding and their online presence. If you check out their website, which I will link below. And I'm not even mad. It's so cute. I already feel cultured, which is awesome, so c'est chic. This particular Beaujolais-Villages has been made without any carbonic maceration, so I'm expecting something a little bit more akin to a Pinot Noir in both flavor and structure, which will be interesting. Let's get it open. Oh my gosh, it's so cute! It came off in one swell foop. Woo! A squishy cork. Squish, squish. So we have poured ourselves a decent amount here to give it a good taste. And let's go ahead and let's evaluate it. So the first thing we do when evaluating a wine is we look at it. You're looking for things like color, whatever, see if anything's floating in the wine, how intense is that color. Just describe what you see. So I have got my handy dandy white sheet of paper and we're gonna take a look. So this wine is, I'd say it's leaning very ruby. It's got a very it has a very purple edge to it, but it is definitely ruby. It looks so fresh, so fruity. It is from 2018. It is now 2021. So this wine is 3 years old. So I'm kind of impressed that it still looks so fresh in the color. In the intensity, I would say it's got a medium intensity. I can see the color gets deeper towards the center and it peters out a little towards the edges. And the clarity is truly impeccable. Yeah, they did a great job just filtering out all the sediment, all the lees from this wine. So, gorgeous. Beautiful. So, appearance aside, now we get to evaluate the nose. That means we're gonna sniff it and see what we can pick out. It is very light, very young, so I'm expecting something fresh and fruity, but let's give it a sniff. Okay, so as suspected, very fruit forward. I was getting raspberry, strawberry, red currant, a touch of green pepper, and a hint of mushroom. So, very fruit forward, a little bit vegetal, and a little bit earthy. So, interesting. Well, now comes the fun part. Now that we have taken a look at it and we've given it a sniff, now we get to evaluate the palate. And that is just tasting it, seeing what you can taste, seeing what it feels like in your mouth, all that good stuff. So why don't we just go ahead and give it a sip, see what it's like. Cheers. Cool. So I could taste everything I smelled, which is really nice. And I also tasted a hint of a black pepper note to it, which was really good. I think it balanced out the fruitiness of it very well. It is dry. It is so very dry. The only sweetness that really comes through is really the perception of those fruit forward flavors, but there's no real sweetness to be had. The tannins were very light. I would say I could kind of feel them on my gums and on my tongue, but extremely light. I really didn't get a huge smack in the face, really, with the tannin. The acidity was extremely high. I was salivating quite a bit in the back. And now everyone's perception of acidity could be a little different, but I personally perceive this one as very high. And the alcohol as well, high. I could feel it. So, okay, we're at 13%, so I would say that kind of is in the high range, so yes, high alcohol. And the overall mouthfeel, the overall body of it, it felt very light-bodied. And I almost forgot to mention a very important part, the finish, which was medium. So it really was a very refreshing kind of red. Yeah, I liked it. Overall, I would say that this is it's a really good quality wine. I think that it's very balanced, it's very refreshing. It is definitely not the most complex Gamay wine you could find out there, but it really does, I think it does speak for that varietal, so very, very good. In terms of what I would pair it with, I think that this would go really well with Thanksgiving dishes. That's actually kind of interesting in the sense that I personally find it very hard to pair wine with a lot of traditional American Thanksgiving meals. Like, what do you pair with a turkey and Brussels sprouts and asparagus and potatoes and sweet potatoes and marshmallows, and well, the list goes on and on. Yes, I think this would work extremely well with a traditional American Thanksgiving style meal. That being said, I think that it could also work with things like chicken salad or any sort of very, like, kind of a, like, New England food, if that makes sense. It's very niche, so maybe not, but when I picture, like, a New England cuisine, I see this working very well with that as well. It tastes like something that I would share, which I think I really appreciate. There are some wines, I think, that are just a little bit too, they're a little bit too heavy, or they're a little bit too tannic for the general, like, drinker. But this wine, I think, being as balanced as it is, feels like something that I could open and it would be a crowd pleaser. So I really picture myself getting together with family and friends and cracking open this wine. Unfortunately, because of COVID, can't really do that, so thank you for joining me for this episode of Wine Reform. I really do enjoy getting to shed some light on wines people maybe haven't heard of, or shed some understanding on wines that people have heard of, but can be intimidating. I get it. Old world classic wines can be a little tough to understand because they're named by the region, or this little region, or a tiny region within a region. It's a lot, so hopefully I can help you guys understand it a little better if this is something that you're a little apprehensive of. Either way, I think I am going to... Maybe I'll see if one of my friends might video chat with me and we can do like a happy hour and I can pretend they're drinking this wine too. I'm curious. I know that obviously Thanksgiving is very American. Yeah, Thanksgiving is very American. I know there's a Thanksgiving in Canada, and I think theirs is in October. But anyway, is there like a particular holiday dish that you guys are really fond of? Because I'd like to know. I'm honestly, you know, I get bored and I want to try new recipes, so I think it'd be fun. What's your favorite holiday dish? And with that being said, I'm definitely going to go ahead and put this away until it is time for happy hour, and I will see you guys next week. You know, you're the closest in-person friend I have right now. You said it better than I could. Do you think that's about a pork-sized serving? Okay. Well, you made me spill now, but is that enough? Okay, I'm glad you're satisfied.